beginning of Nimrod's kingdom was Babel. Right, and then we got this Mount Carmel flow where Elijah's coming in with the dragon fire. I mean, yeah, Acadia is a big deal. They coming in with the wailing, with harpooners. When harpooners began killing dragons to protect their catches, or was the wailing all about slaying dragons? When his species was listed as endangered, the Acadian green dragon became protected species in 1973. Think it's play. Right as the number of his species plummeted to only 100 adult dragons. Since that time, the numbers of his race have since rebounded, climbing back to a substantial number around 500 dragons or more. Today, that number is slowly climbing. While over 270 years old, at least, Mohawk is a dragon in his prime. And perhaps the most successful parent out of the known population, having raised almost 50 offspring since his nests were first monitored in 1975. As a result, most of the newly matured female dragons recorded in the Acadia area are either his daughters or granddaughters. He is often seen by whale watchers when out hunting, as his diet consists heavily of dolphins and large fish such as the great white sharks or bluefin tuna. He is accustomed to the presence of people near his lair, but is genuinely content to ignore them, often preferring to sleep in plain sight since he fears little from them. Despite this tolerance and acceptance of people near his lair, it may be remembered that Mohawk is a wild animal. It should never be approached. But as he can easily kill a man with a single swipe from his paw or from a fiery blast of his flaming breath, recently specialized tracking tags have been attached to Mohawk's scales, allowing him to be followed on social media and allowing authorities to warn the populace should he come within range of heavily populated areas. A drawing of a dragon from the Dracopedia series, Mohawk is only mentioned a few times in the book, so I give him a more developed backstory. This is the first dragon I have tried shading with my new techniques, and the original drawing is being sent as a present to Samantha and Madeline O'Connor, daughters of the late artist William O'Connor, who created the Dracopedia series and passed away unexpectedly last year, January 2018. 12-year-old Samantha went on to help finish the Dracopedia field guide after her father's passing, and so I felt that it was the right thing to send her and her 4-year-old little sister this as a gift. I sincerely hope they enjoy it and wish them wonderful, happy life. Amen. We getting the babies out the bathwater. You know, they can add whatever backstories they want to Mohawk. We know that this Acadia ain't no play. And as long as we know that this Acadia is popping up on these maps, we know that this habitation definitely, has some serious drop to it, especially when it's being changed from the Acadian National Dragon Preserve to Acadia National Park. That means there's truth behind this story. And although they say this dragon species is flourishing, apparently Phineas is the last or the only great dragon alive in captivity. So, whereas Mohawk might have been considered a great dragon, not just any dragon alive. Phineas is not the only dragon alive. We're saying the last great American dragon, Acadian dragon. Now, this Acadia parallels with these events from the Hebrew Bible. The Bible and myth in Antonin Malit's Pelagi La Cherit, Paul G. Socket. The parallels between Pelagi's return to Acadia from exile in Georgia and events in the Hebrew Bible are striking and revealing. The story is the biblical account of the Exodus in a modern context, enhanced and reinforced by elements of mythology. So, if you start digging on like this Acadian Bible situation, it's a lot of, mystery to it. Let me know if you get like a good PDF of, I guess they call it the Acadian Bible or whatever the case is, but whatever mythology is, we definitely got to dig on it. The many similarities to the biblical account are in some cases direct and others indirect. I propose to make these parallels clear and to suggest associations with some major motifs of world mythology in order to show how the dominant theme and images confer a larger, possibly universal meaning on the narrative. The novel represents the fusion of chronological time. Yeah, we're gonna talk chronology. Matter of fact, we're about to talk chronology, man. we about to get an oldie but goodie and talk some chronology, love to the Templar. We're about to get into some parallel timelines in history. The OG, man, you already know what it is, man. Anatoly, for the Manco. We're about to get into some parallel timelines because we talking parallels, man. And we talking timelines, man. And we talking Acadia. And I'm just saying, is this Acadia the same thing as the Acadia that we see popping up on the maps in America? And what does it have to do with the Acadian Green Dragon and the Revolutionary War, since Mohawk was witnessing the Revolutionary War? And Mohawk is popping off. He said Mohawk had to witness his people die. Bore witness to the slaughter of most of his kin. Okay. Hey, man. Hey, out to the big homie Mohawk, man. And as always, you already know, free Phineas, man. Skywalker, you got the drop, man. And we're in the drop, chatting. Chat. Hoping you enjoying the wave, man, enjoying the flow. Up in here, man. Oh, yeah, we got some anion drop. We might drop on that too, man. Might got to drop on that too. Oh, yeah, we got some parallel timeline drop. Okay, yeah, that's what I was talking about. Okay. So, first of all, man, Acadian history, man, right? Mythological time. So, this novel that's been put together is representing the fusion of chronological time and mythological time. Acadian history with what they call eternal cycle of perpetual life. And of biblical imagery and that of ancient mythology. So too, there is a fusion on a spiritual level of the profane and the sacred, as the Acadians are portrayed as deceptively irreverent, for their rebirth affirms the principle of destiny and divine mission. What is this Acadia business about, man? The general structure of the narrative loosely follows the biblical text. The first chapters introduce us to Pelagi, Beloni, and the other characters, describe the situations, and establish the purpose of their journey. just as Genesis describes the patriarchs in their times. And points to an historical mission. The novel then proceeds to chronicle the journey itself, including the fighting and rebellion corresponding to the deliverance and apostasy of Exodus. The remainder of the novel, except for the last two chapters and the epilogue, concerns the consolidation of the wanderers into a people, paralleling the same phenomenon in Leviticus and Numbers. So they really are trying to parallel your story. The final part narrates Pelagi's address to the people, her death, and her people's arrival in Acadia. We got Acadia popping off as Deuteronomy recounts Moses' invocation to the Israelites, his death, and the arrival in the promised land. Man, this is, we got to dig deeper on this Pelagi. I just saw Acadia and I got excited, and I see how they're connecting all this with promised land. They're connecting all of it with promised land, man. So, keep all this in mind when we dig on Akkad. And no one knows where the city of Akkad is located. The Acadian Green Dragon is, a thing of the past. And Israel's name is no longer in remembrance. But Akkad, even with the seas, are popping up all over the place. Oh, man. I'll leave this for you. But, you can connect the Acadians with the Egyptians and the Hebrews. And Ahab to the bro. Sorry, I can't think of your name off the top of my headbone, but Ahab to you. Because you're the one that pointed it out and said, you got to connect this Acadia with Egypt. And, we keep talking about Acadia with Phineas and all that. And we still ain't really bringing it on home to what's happening with the Hebrews coming out of Egypt and all that, right? So, but then we're reading about Mohawk witnessing what's popping off, witnessing the slaughter, witnessing the Revolutionary War. And now we can see coming out of Egypt, man. Going into Egypt, going into Babylon, captivity. All this is such recent history, man. Shikamaga, Shikamaga, Shikamaga.